Is this the better angle? I don't know. Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. I haven't been here for a while because I've been so super busy and I want to share like a quick update with you guys. But first, hi! If you're new and you haven't been here before, my name's Katie. I am out of breath because I just ran up the stairs. I'm an aspiring wedding photographer here in the lovely state of North Carolina, and this channel is kind of dedicated to my journey. I let you know things that are happening in my life. Still out of breath. And I also let you know kind of things that are happening with my photography business. It's October now, and for the past through September until now, I've had some sort of engagement shoot, a wedding, something every single weekend. So I've been very busy. I've been delivering so many galleries, I've been meeting so many incredible people. Yeah, that's kind of why I haven't been posting on YouTube, because I didn't really want to add anything to my schedule because things have been really crazy. I freaking love Halloween so much, so I've been decorating the house and making my husband and I's costumes. So I've been a lot, and now that I have kind of wind down on photo shoots, I've decided to bring back YouTube and film some more and kind of give you guys a really big update on what I'm doing. There's a lot of things in the works right now. Oh, and this past month I also launched a new website, which I'm gonna make a video about. Just add it to the to-do list. So I'm gonna make a video about my new website, why I decided that hosting platform. I really like it. If you want to check it out, my website's always linked in the description box down below, so you can definitely check it out and let me know what you think. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm still, slowly updating my portfolio as I edit photos. I'm putting them onto the portfolio pages of the website. And I'm also blogging all of the engagement sessions and the second shooting a wedding and things like that. So there's a lot of things that I'm still working on, but I relaunched it and I'm really proud of it. The thing I want to talk to you about today is my experience being a second photographer at 2 weddings the past 2 months. And I kind of want to compare and contrast them because the experiences were so different. So I'm just gonna kind of start from the beginning and tell you how it all happened, and then my experience with it, and then I'm gonna kind of give a takeaway and what I'm planning to do in the future if I'm going to be a second photographer again, and how I would treat and interact with a second photographer. Okay, I want to start off this video saying that this is just for reporting purposes. I'm not going to share the names of any of the other photographers or the bride and groom or anything like that for obvious reasons. And this is all just my experience and takeaway. I am not here to complain about other photographers. I'm not here to spread hate or anything like that. I'm literally just giving you my experience and my takeaways from it, and then what I will be doing moving forward, because everything is a learning experience and I don't have to agree with I don't have to agree with the way every photographer does their own thing, because again, everyone has their own editing style, everybody has their own go-to poses, photographing, shooting style, everyone has their own ways that they interact with the bride and groom and their clients. Everybody's different, every photographer's different, and just because a photographer does something that I may not like or agree with, or it's not really my style, it doesn't mean that I am hating on them for disagreeing. You get what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be complaining, I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just talking about my experience. So the first photographer contacted me through Facebook. They were like, hey, I need a photographer for this date. Can you stop running around like a maniac? Thank you. Bless you. Oh my gosh. It's fine. My dogs are actually playing together, which is new. Usually one just annoys the other, but I think they're actually playing. I think. Can you guys go lay down? Thank you. I love them so much. Okay, first photographer contacted me on Facebook and was like, hey, I need a second photographer for this date. Are you available? And I was like, yeah, man. That photographer, they kind of booked me a couple months in advance. So I was like, hey, do you have any information? And they're like, no, not yet, because it's kind of a couple months out and we're still working on timeline. It wasn't until the weekend before the wedding where I got all the information. And so the big things that I wanted to know going into being a second photographer is how much am I getting paid? I don't want to say that's number one, but I am starting a business and like I've booked weddings on my own for real money. Like you get what I'm saying? So I want to know how much I'm getting paid, and then I want to be able to use my pictures on my website, on my social media, within my portfolio. That's kind of a deal breaker for me. Price is negotiable, but I have to be able to use my own photos because I am growing a business. I mean, I'm starting a business and then growing it. So that's like non-negotiable. I have to be able to use my own photos that I take. A weekend before that, the actual wedding, we went over all of these things. I was like, great, like I'm getting paid. I can use my own photos. She gave me kind of the laydown. And this wedding was about 2 hours away from me, maybe a little over 2 hours. In the middle of nowhere. Spoiler alert, it was a very beautiful wedding. Anyway, so I was like, okay, I'll meet you at this time. We can meet up. I'll introduce you to everybody, because that's another thing is these are her clients. This is her bride. This is her groom. They booked with her. So I don't know them. I really appreciated that. When I parked and I was like, hey, I'm here, she came out to meet me. She went inside, introduced me to everybody. And so I kind of got the lay of the land, like where everybody's getting ready. And she went and introduced me to the groom and the groomsmen and everybody. And I just really appreciated that part of it, because this was my very first wedding ever. Like my very first wedding experience that I was photographing. I was the photographer, right? I get there and kind of just hang out with her, help her with the dress. And the dress, I love bridal gowns. Like they're so beautiful. And this dress was absolutely gorgeous. But she made a comment about the bride maybe not looking good in this dress. Like maybe it wasn't the right shape for her. To me, not to the bride. Not to the bride, and not to anybody else other than me. It just kind of was like, huh, like I would never think that. And again, spoiler alert, the dress looked freaking amazing on her. Anyway, we take pictures of the dress, and then I was in charge of the groomsmen and like the groom getting ready, the groomsmen photos, and then they were gonna do a first look. And one thing I will say, this photographer trusted me. They've trusted me like so much, which again, I really appreciated. And I'm not like a fake it till you make it. I will admit like my downfalls, like if I'm not comfortable doing something on my own, I'll be like, hey, this is my first wedding ever. Like I'm not comfortable with this. Maybe you should come with me, whatever. Like I'm very upfront with my weaknesses, but she did trust me enough and I felt confident enough to take care of it. And the pictures turned out, I think, really good. I thought all the pictures turned out really, really well. So I just appreciated the trust and like the confidence she gave me to like, okay, now you go, you're in charge of something while I'm gonna stay here and do this. So I went and took all of the groomsmen photos, and it was really, really fun. We kind of just tag teamed everything, which was so nice. And again, the level of trust, like, okay, you go are you okay? Again, it's like, you go capture this, I'm gonna go capture that, and like, I trust you enough that you're not gonna mess everything. I was only there until after the ceremony, and then I left before the reception, because they really just wanted a second photographer for all of the getting ready shots. You go to the ceremony, and I wanna be the best second photographer to the lead photographer. And part of being a second, can you stop growling? Part of being like a second shooter, this is how I viewed it. I was more of the assistant to the lead photographer, assistant to the regional manager, if you will. I asked her, what do you want me to do? Afterwards, we did the bridal portraits, we did bridal party, we did family, we did all of that kind of stuff together. They kept turning to me and were like, can you stop bugging your brother? Lucy, stop bugging him. Anyway, I also appreciated the fact that they kept saying like, oh, should we do this? Or like, hey, do you have any ideas for this? And they posed the bride and groom, they did all of that and let me kind of take pictures around them. But then once they were done, they said, okay, now you can pose them. They gave me complete creative freedom, and I got to pose them and I got to take some portraits of them, which was amazing. So again, really appreciating that. And then at the end of those pictures, like right when the reception was gonna start, I left. And that photographer said, like, you were such a great help today. I'll work with you again, those kinds of things. And I would work with them again too. It was a really good experience. Now, the difference between the two of us, I'm a bit more like shy and awkward, believe it or not. They are a bit more out there with their personality, do you know what I mean? We're like, here I am, take it or leave it kind of person. And they were more comfortable with their clients because it was their clients, they built that relationship, so maybe that was part of it. Overall, the experience was probably an 8 out of 10 for our first experience and everything. It was great, like I really enjoyed myself, it was fun. So this is my second experience being a second wedding photographer. This experience is very different from the first one. I'm a part of like wedding photographer Facebook groups on Facebook. So somebody was like, hey, I need a lead photographer and a second shooter on this date. They contacted me. So they said, I got a lead photographer, you can be the second photographer. I have the timeline and here's the contract, you want to sign it? I was asking, hey, like how many groomsmen, how many bridesmaids are in the wedding party? And he had no idea. I'm like, do you have a list of family members? And he had no idea. And so I was like, okay, this isn't weird. So when I told my husband about this experience, I was like, yeah, I don't know how many, I don't know, I have a list of the family members. I don't have a list of the bridesmaids. I don't have a list of the groomsmen. It's at some like private address in the middle of nowhere. That's on 10 acres. I don't know this guy, but he needed a lead photographer and a second wedding photographer. He doesn't know a lot about this wedding. I've never met the lead photographer, like all of these things. So I'm just gonna go and show up in the middle of nowhere, about an hour and a half away, and hopefully not get murdered. The situation going into it was kind of odd. Spoiler alert, and it ended up being legit, and it was absolutely beautiful and amazing. The lead photographer and I, we were in the same boat. We didn't know anything. This was literally like a couple days before the wedding, like the week of the wedding, we were hired to do this. I didn't know anything about the bride. I didn't know anything about the groom, only what I stalked on Facebook. Get there and I'm like, hey, like I'm Katie, nice to meet you. So we kind of walked around trying to get the lay of the land, and one friend like watched me around, gave me the lowdown on everything, and I really appreciated that. And again, I was in charge of the groom and the groomsmen, all of that, which is great. I felt this wedding, I think because we both were kind of thrown into it, kind of last minute, that I felt very annoying because I kept saying like, okay, what would you like me to do next? Like, do you want me to go and do this? A lot of the time, everybody runs early, or like I'm waiting until it's, I don't know, 1 o'clock and then I'll go over there. Because especially with groomsmen, they just put on their jackets and then they're ready to go. It's not like bride, bridesmaid, mother of the bride, anything like that. It's a lot easier. So I'm like, I'm not gonna go over there early and make them sit around in their suits all day. So I was like, hey, I can take the rings, I can take flowers, I can do flat lay shots, and that was all great. That photographer wanted to do their own version of it, which is fantastic. Again, like they're supposed to be the lead photographer. But there are some things that I was kind of like, do you not trust me enough to get this? You know what I mean? I kind of finished my stuff and then I went up and hung out and was like, hey, all the groomsmen are done. I'm gonna kind of hang out with you guys, and whenever you want me to head down to the ceremony, just let me know. And so we did a first look with her dad. So the photographer was going to kind of follow the bride as they go up the aisle. She and her dad and bridal party all went up the aisle, and I was gonna get the groom's reaction. It all ended like really great. I was really worried about the lighting situation, but it all ended up fine. Like honestly, it all was just fine. It was like after the ceremony, everyone, stays around and we do big bridal party pictures and family and all of that jazz. As soon as it was time to do their portraits, the photographer was like, go do cocktail hour, go photograph cocktail hour. And they did all of the portraits by themselves. And I don't know if that's a normal experience being a second photographer. You can let me know in the comments down below. Felt very cut out of the important shots. Anytime I wanted to photograph the bride and groom, they pretty much told me to not do that. So during the cake cutting, I said, hey, you know, what angle would you like me to get? And they said, oh, you don't even need to photograph this, just stand over there. It's like, okay. It's just odd. I just followed them and like took my own portraits of them, and because I just wasn't included on those shots. So I don't know if it was intentional, but it was just really odd. And it was really odd when I left. I was kind of like, all right, like I'm gonna leave now. And they were like, okay, bye. And I was like, okay. Maybe it was awkward in my head. But anyway, I'm gonna give that experience a 6 out of 10 because it was just sort of odd. And like, we both were kind of thrown into it last minute. So I think that's another big thing. If I would have known more things at the beginning, I would have, I don't know, felt a little bit better and known who I was working with beforehand, so I would have felt a little bit better. So yeah, 6 out of 10. So because of that, both of those experiences were very different. One, I had more creative freedom. I could pose the bride and groom, and I was trusted a bit more with things, and the other one was just kind of very last minute and not knowing what was happening, and I felt like kind of cut out of the important shots. Very, very different experiences. I would love to know your experience either hiring a second photographer and you're the lead photographer, or, you know, if you are a second photographer, like, what has been your experience? Has mine been unique? Is this normal? I don't know. Going forward, I would still like give all the information out front. Like, this is how I would like you to deliver the photos to me. Like, this is how you'll get paid, like everything out front. And then during the wedding day, I'm planning to give her a lot of creative freedom. So being a second photographer has really made me excited to be a like lead photographer. And I have a couple weddings that I booked myself coming up next year, and I'm just really excited to be able to serve my couples and actually build those relationships with them. I feel like I don't want this to just be a wedding gig. Like, it's not just a gig to me. I'm excited to build those relationships and serve them in this way and give them beautiful pictures that they can love. So that's where I'm going to end today's video. I want to start posting more on YouTube. I said I'm going to try to post more. I want to share more about like my husband and my life and do more videos with him and kind of let you guys get to know us and our little family of us and our 2 dogs. Let me know if that's something that you would like to see. I'm still going to post videos like this, and I still want to document my photographer journey, but I don't know, I kind of want you guys to get to know us a little bit more and kind of give you behind the scenes on our life. That's pretty much it. I will see you next time. Bye!